everyone. Good morning. Um, I had a chat with Emily Ferber. She is an awesome teacher, mom, wife, daughter, friend. Right? Um, I hope this conversation is as soothing to your soul as it was to me. Love you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, um, it's interesting because everything you were telling me earlier on the chat just resonated with me so much. And the fact that we don't let ourselves feel
Oh yeah.
is what kills us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of people saying, you know, time will heal. Just give it time. Just time will heal. I don't think it's time. I don't, I mean, it helps, certainly. But I don't think it's actually time that heals. I think it's actually ourselves.
Oh, definitely. And I think right now there's a lot of talk, at least in my family, of just like go get busy, go do other stuff. And I'm like, I need the opposite. I need to stop. I need to be
Yep.
still. I need to
Yep.
figure out what this means to me, what this loss means, and kind of process. And for people that don't know me, I lost my dad in January of last year. Massive heart attack, 63, played tennis every day. Really bizarre situation, like didn't know the hereditary stuff as much. And now since then he was one of four. A year before that, him passing, my grandmother and his brother passed away on the same weekend. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so one of my dad's brothers, since my dad has passed, has had another heart attack. So we clearly know that there's some hereditary issues. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and what does that mean for us moving forward? And what, do you want to know? Do you not want to know? And that's tough. So, and then, along with that, I lost a baby in October, a week before my grandmother-in-law passed unexpectedly. So it's just been a lot of loss. And what does that
I'm
mean?
so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those, like, I know it happens. It's just like, how do you
Mm.
deal with it? And I think Brene Brown said it best. I think it was her that said it, with just like, your own grief is always the worst grief because it's what you are dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, and I feel like sometimes we like to play the comparison game of like, well, I didn't have to deal with this and I didn't have to deal with that. And like,
Oh,
it's still
no.
yours.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter how small. And by small, I've lost babies too. I don't I don't necessarily feel like with my first loss, I was already 3 months along. I don't necessarily feel that, oh, because you didn't get to hold the baby, you don't go through that grief. You actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying I relate to what you're saying because with that baby, I didn't let myself feel. I was just like, you know what? Let's move on. I don't need to feel this. I mean, I cried and cried and cried for like probably 4 or 5 days. But then after I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm move on. Like, let's try to conceive again. Like, let's just, like I was ready to just like take the leap over all that process. And instead of going through it, I just wanted to go over it. And it took me years to actually get over that. With Danny, as you know, it's also a grief. It's, even though thank God we didn't lose her, it's also a grief because we lost that. And I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it wrong. We lost that normal baby
Right.
that we were given, that we dreamed
Well,
of, that
expected,
we
right. But you hoped
expected.
for. Yes.
Exactly, because every time, like when you're pregnant, mothers we tend to say, oh, as long as it's healthy, I don't know, I don't care if it's a boy or girl, as long as it's healthy. Well, what if it's not? What if it's not a healthy baby? What if he or she comes with a good set of health issues? Like,
Mhm.
then what, right? So you're not prepared for that as
Right.
a parent. When you're actually given a diagnosis for your baby, for your kid, oh shit, like,
Oh yeah.
what are you gonna do now? So it is actually also a grief that something was taken away from you, or in this case from me. um and as well, I didn't let myself grieve. I was like, I just gotta be the strong one. My parents were here and they were suffering their own loss,
Hmm.
their own, I guess, loss, because again, they were expecting something else. But I tried to be the strong one. I try to be like the mom that drives it all, and talk to the doctors and push this, and now let's try this, and blah blah blah. And I didn't take care of going through those feelings, right? I was trying to take care of shit. I was
Yeah.
busy. But once it all happened and wrapped up, I found myself not feeling, to the point that I didn't want hugs. I closed up. Even, I remember my dad talking to me, my mom talking to me, and I was like, yeah, no, okay, and just like look down and walk away.
Almost like shutting down, like
Shutting.
pretending it didn't happen, or like that you're just through it already. And I
Yep.
think that
Yep.
that's a lot of society, like, and especially as moms, like we're so go, 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 and like on to the next, like new year, new you, make your goals, blah, blah, blah. Like, what if I don't want to do shit? Like, what if I need to like, let's stop, like, let's do nothing. And I think that is what we don't talk about. Like, we don't talk about how important it is to sit in it. And
Yep.
I think part of it is because we never really talk about what that going through looks like.
Yep.
We're exposed to so much in like memoirs and whatever of like, this is what I've already been through, but nobody talks about what that process looks like. And I think, as a former teacher and reading specialist, like I want to have that to-do list of like, okay, did
Yep.
I do this today? Did I take a walk? Did I do self-care? Did I meditate? Like, okay, I'm going through the process of grief. Like, there is no such thing. And I think I beat myself up regularly since I left my job at the end of October, kind of when everything happened. And uh, to know that I was all like, I'm doing the right thing, I'm giving myself the time. But then I feel like to a certain extent, I haven't really used it appropriately. I've been avoiding a lot. And I think that's what we tend to do. But like, let's go shopping, let's do other stuff. Like, I don't want to sit in the house and like, right now I'm in my craft room and I just keep thinking about how this was supposed to be the nursery. And like, like stuff like that you're just like, you don't really deal with,
Yep. Yep.
and you have to deal with it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what I reached out to you kind of to just be like, I totally feel where you're coming from with loss, and I really appreciate like how you're open you are with everything, and the
Oh,
spiritual aspect of just knowing we are connected with our loved ones, and like how that can be different and that relationship can be different.
it makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. And like,
Definitely.
I think we have very different circumstances in regards to how the loss happened. And, I got really emotional, like watching your video, just because like, I can't imagine like having all of that time, like watching someone you love kind of deteriorate like in front of you.
Mhm.
And I had the opposite. Like, I talked to my dad an hour before he passed, and we had gotten into an argument and he didn't say he loved me. And that kills me. Like, so it's just, it's tough. I mean, it's tough to lose
Either
anybody
way.
in any
Yeah.
circumstance.
Either way is tough. Either way. And you know, you said something very important. The fact that everybody tells you, even psychologists tell you that you need to get out, you need to go shopping, you need to take care of yourself, doing your nails and your hair and your this, but it is all outside of you,
Oh yeah.
right? It is all distractions from your reality.
Hmm.
And your reality exists from the thoughts. So you actually create your reality. The thoughts that you're having are driven by emotions, and the emotions are driven by thoughts. So it's like a cycle inside you. And if those thoughts are not positive, if those emotions are not positive, they're going to feed off of each other, and they're going to create a negative reality. And by us trying to look for something outside to save us, even if it's a psychologist, if we're looking outside for things to come and get us out of the swamp, that's where things go wrong, because we're actually not dealing directly internally. And we were laughing about the CPU comment. Back in the day, computers were humongous, right? Like I actually learned how to use a computer in high school. Well, that was like the M-DOS or whatever. I never got the hang of it. And then in college, we actually had those humongous iMacs that were like this big and this deep. And the GeForce, the Apple GeForce, they had also a humongous monitor. And then on their desks, they had like huge towers, and they were so powerful, and the campaign, the Apple campaign of think different, and oh my gosh, it was like the bomb. And I wanted an iMac so badly because nobody had it, and they were so colorful and all that stuff. But anyway, the tower was called CPU, and it was like the main computer, like the main software.
Right. The brain.
The brains, exactly. So in this case, from what I've read, from what I've watched, from what I've talked to other people, we need to go internally instead of trying to go externally and looking for a cure, distraction, savior. We need to go internally and actually connect with the higher power, and actually connect with ourselves. Because, and I'm not sure, and I respectfully say it, I don't follow a certain religion. And if people have a certain religion, I respect it wholeheartedly. However, in my beliefs, I don't think there is a person per se as a god. It's actually the main energy, and it's a big, huge ball of energy that created us. And that big, huge ball of energy is made out of love and light and compassion and all these higher elevated emotions that us humans feel. But we also have that human side, and we also get dragged down by anger, fear, resentment, and all those negative feels that pull us down, right? So in order for us to actually get connected, not closer, because God is not over there and we're over here, right? Actually, we are part of him.
Yeah.
It, her, whatever you want to call it. We are part of that. We're sparkles, part of that divine light, ball of energy. And we're all connected because of that. We are connected to that energy, to that main source of energy, which is God. Some people call it Jesus, some people call it Buddha, some people call it Allah. But it's just a main creator, period. If we get disconnected from that source of love, that source of creation, we are missing, we're lacking of love, of creativity. And I'm not saying creativity in the sense of, oh, let's draw something, right? It's actually creativity, the ability to create our own reality, our own positive thoughts, our own experience here in
life experiences. Yeah.
Right? So in order to connect, because we tend to disconnect, and negative emotions like grief, which it's necessary for us to go through it to get over it, to dismantle, not hold on to it and not avoid it. We need to go through it and feel all the feels and cry all we have to cry and throw shit to the wall and experience it, because that's what we came to this world to begin with, to experience all those feelings, all those emotions, all those moments of good and bad, right? It's all like a Nintendo game. We're being the little Mario Brothers going through the world, and sometimes there's a fucking mushroom that comes at us
Yep.
and gets it. Sometimes we get a star. I mean, it's all part of it. But if we avoid going through one of those worlds, then
Mm-hmm.
we get stuck. And the key here, and like I said, I'm not a professional by any means, but from what I've felt, from what I've seen, from what I've read, and what I've seen that works with my own self, is actually letting yourself feel, period. You know, if I, like the other day, a couple weeks ago, like 2, 3 weeks ago, my mom was watching her iPad, and all of a sudden there's this song that came up about a little kid that just lost his dad, and he's confused. He's in his bedroom, and he's asking the cuckoo clock, "Where's my daddy?" Right? Oh, yeah, Jesus. And he's asking, "Cuckoo clock, where's my daddy? Daddy left. Please turn on the light. I'm scared." And that's the way we feel.
Yeah.
That's the way we're scared. Our daddies left, right? We're little kids. We feel like a little girl. Where's my daddy? Right? Please turn on the light. I can't find him. If you don't let yourself feel that, you're going to get stuck there. What I did, because my mom is highly sensitive and she's going and dealing with her own grief, I just went into the bathroom and I bawled my eyes out. And I was mad. I was angry at myself. I was not letting myself feel. I was just like, why do I have to do this to myself? Right? Why do I have to try to avoid listening to that song and bawling my eyes out? And I was being hard on myself. Then I thought, you know what? Fine, Vanessa. You want to feel? You want to cry? Let's go upstairs and just throw a hissy fit. And if you end up vomiting, then I'm just gonna bring a little bucket of something and just go at it, right? I did. I went upstairs with a bucket. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw up. You know what? Fuck this. And I sat on the floor and I searched for that song on YouTube and I blasted it off. The girls were in at school. My mom was downstairs and Brian was working. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Just gonna do it. And blasted the song and cried my eyeballs out and screamed and asked why. And I played it like 4 times. And little by little, at the end, like little by little, I started feeling less heavy.
Mm.
And things started connecting inside me. Things started to to be put in place, right? And at the end I found myself not asking why, but actually thanking my dad for everything he had done for me, thanking God for everything in each one of the experiences he gave me, and actually thanking him, God, for giving me my dad for 42 years and actually having a loving dad, an awesome dad, because I realized that not everybody is as lucky, right? I wasn't as lucky to have awesome grandparents like my kids do, right? So I realized that not everybody has the opportunity to live those experiences. And Emily, you and I are lucky, but you have to just
Feel it.
go at it. Just go at it
That's where
one
I feel like
after.
I still haven't done that. And it's been over a year. And I feel like we tend to think of it more of like, you know, a TV show or a movie where it's just going to be you're down for the count and eating like Chinese food for 2 weeks, depression, like can't handle, can't shower, can't mom. And it's like, it's all in the little things. It's like, you know, not wanting to go in my bed or my bedroom because that's where I had the miscarriage and like stuff like that, where it's just like, it's the little stuff that reminds you. And yeah, when I get in the car, and that was the time I used to call my dad, and I just like hit my steering wheel and I'm just like, oh, I really want to call him, but he's not here. Like, so I'll listen to a voicemail and stuff like that. But I've never let myself really like feel all the feels. And I think that that's where I need to start. And I think accepting the fact that like, I think we're so scared of what it could be instead of just letting it be whatever it is.
However, yes. So we're so scared of feeling worse than we already feel. However, we are already rock bottom. And letting yourself feel and cry it out and scream and feel it. The anger, the grief, the sadness, the everything, the rebellious part of you that just questions God, because it's okay. It's completely okay to question what the hell? Like why? Right?
Yeah.
Why did my baby have to go? Why did my dad all of a sudden left? Why am I left here with all these grief? Why? You'll get the answers, but you have to go through it with a big old scream, with a big old cry. And we also don't let ourselves do that. We're so scared that we're gonna touch more rock bottom. We can't go deeper than that.
I think we're
We're
just scared to
already,
like sit in it, to wallow in it. Like I think it's one of
yeah.
those we feel like we're not allowed to. It's like not
Oh, yeah, yeah, because you're supposed to be the strong one. You're the mom. You're
right.
the one. You're the spine of the whole family. And while you are, you're also a spiritual being. You're also a human. You have to let yourself feel. There's no worse feeling than being stuck in a place.
Mm.
But if you let yourself feel, you're not going to go deeper than that. You're actually in the process of going up and heal. So you can't, we cannot,
Block it. Yeah. It has to
we,
happen.
we cannot be scared of something that we're already experiencing.
Mm.
It's all for the better. It's all to heal. So from here, it's all going up now. It's not gonna go any lower. It's not. So if you let yourself feel, you're not going down anymore. You're actually going up.
I
And
think it's
that's
just
what
the
scares
releasing
us.
of, I think my sister explained it as like energy needs somewhere to go. And
Yeah.
like the idea of like the motion, like it needs to release. And if you don't have that happen, it's just pent up energy and like how destructive that can be to your body, physically, mentally, emotionally. And like,
Yep.
I mean, I can definitely feel that. I feel like for the past year. And I've been releasing it in little, like almost like puffs of air versus just like a huge freaking
Like,
shitstorm.
yeah.
And I just need it to hit the storm
Yep.
and how to move forward. Like sometimes just and I wait for like that peace kind of like after the storm, like just to kind of to come. Like I hope that that'll happen, and I think it will. And I bet you've experienced that. Like just it just you have to go through the storm to get there.
Yep. Yep. And being strong doesn't mean you can't cry.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to have a poker face through the storm, right? Being strong is actually allowing yourself to go through it. But if you don't let yourself go through it, you're never going to get to the other side of the storm and see the rainbow.
And
So,
that's how people deal with this for years and years
oh
and
yeah,
years.
oh yeah,
And I think,
absolutely. And the same way that you can make your body get sick with emotions, you can actually heal it with emotions. But you have to go internally. Now, here's the question: how do you go internally to switch the whole thing, to get connected, to switch the bad thoughts into good thoughts? Literally shutting the whole world around you down and just be.
like
How
a
do you do
retreat into yourself.
that? Exactly. Just dive into yourself. Just dive with no expectations. There is no wrong way to do it. You know, a lot of people are scared of, hey, I don't do meditation because I don't even know how to do it. Or I'm just sitting there like, and all of a sudden I'm thinking about, oh shoot, I have a lot of dishes to clean the kitchen, and oh crap, I forgot to do this. It's okay. It's okay to literally, you just have to walk into a room where there's no interruptions, no noises. And I know as a mom, well, yeah, good luck, right? But my time to do meditations is literally when everybody goes to sleep. And I know when I really feel it and when I really need it.
Mm.
So even if it's 11 p.m., when everybody goes to sleep, I'm like, no, I have to do it. I have to do it. And I come to my office and I close the doors and I light up my candle, but I put my heater because I like to be nice and warm. And I sit on my carpet on the floor, put some pillows there, and I just start either with music or guided meditations. And it's not just, I mean, it could just be a space for you to be quiet. What I find that really gets me connected and really gets me switched from this fucking sucks to life is really good is elevating my emotions through meditation. So there's this meditation called feelingization, just like it is, feelingization. And I forget the name of the author. I'll look it up and I'll post it. But
Share it.
she she is awesome. She talks about something called wabi sabi love. Wabi sabi love is a Japanese way of thinking that when something annoys you, when something makes you angry, when something, and it's usually like, for example, me with Brian, right? My husband. So he leaves his shoes out there in the entrance. And I come in and I'm like, are you kidding me? They stink, they're dirty. Why can't you just grab them? Literally just kick them in the closet. That way they're out of the way. We don't see them, we don't smell them, right? Whatever. Instead of feeling that, or once I feel that, wabi sabi love is actually being thankful for something that if you didn't have it, what would it mean? So if I didn't come in and see those stinky shoes in there, what would that mean?
Mm.
He's not here, right? So I'm actually looking at the shoes thinking, thank you for being here. Thank you because I have those shoes being all dirty and stinky, because that means I have you.
Yeah,
Because
that's
that
my
means
love
you're
issues.
with
Yeah,
me.
right.
Right? Right. So that wabi sabi love, I've been trying to apply it to everything, even the departure of my dad.
Mm.
If I didn't have that grief right now, it would mean that you wouldn't have been an awesome dad, right?
It's
Thank
exactly what
you.
my counselor said. It just like,
Thank
it's
you.
a big grief because it was a big love. And that's like a big loss for you. But because you have the capability of loving so much, like, and the
Exactly.
relationship that you did have,
Yep.
and
Yep.
honoring that, and,
Exactly.
realizing that was special. And yeah.
Exactly. And when I do that, so this author has this meditation called the feelingization. And it's literally like 10 minutes of it. And you just close your eyes. The music is so nice and so relaxing and so happy. And then she starts telling you, close your eyes, take deep breaths, and take your attention from your head right into your heart.
Mm.
And what that is, it's called heart coherence. So if you're coherent here with your thoughts, but you're incoherent in your heart, it's almost like a second brain. Your heart is like a second brain. Your heart chakra, your heart area drives everything. It's the one connected to source, to God,
Right.
right? To everything, to everybody around you. So if you're coherent here, but you're incoherent here, everything's going to get thrown off. You're not going to go anywhere. You have to get coherent here in order to get coherent here. So, how do I get heart coherence? Literally closing your eyes, breathing deeply. Breathing is very important. Your breath, your breathing drives your body to calm the hell down, and literally your heart will start to palpitate in a different rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
more coherent. Your palpitations will start getting more coherent, more rhythmic. It won't skip beats. It won't get all like that is actually affecting you in a mechanical way. Like
Mm-hmm.
your body actually starts functioning because you're driving all your attention into here. And once you put your attention here, then you start thinking happy thoughts. So she, in that meditation, she actually tells you, think about a moment when you felt unconditional love. It could be staring at the eyes of a child. It could be hugging a loved one. It could be staring at a sunset.
Mm.
And then where else in your body do you feel that energy? Right? So what I do is I cover myself in that energy from head to toe. And then it tells you, think about a moment where you were thankful for something. So then you bring up that moment. It could be in childhood, it could be recent, it could be anywhere, anytime. While you're doing all these processes, you're actually going from alpha or beta waves in your brain. So our brains have waves, right? And different wave lengths mean different states of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this because when Danny went through all these Boston testings and studies and all that stuff, her brain had to be placed from alpha or beta, which is like high functioning thinking. Beta could also mean like fight or flight mode. So if
Mm-hmm.
something scares you, your brain automatically goes into beta mode. If you're in a more creative, kind of like at work, paying attention, then you go into alpha mode. There's also theta mode. Theta mode is when your brain is in a meditative state. So in this case, when I'm meditating, my brain calms down and stays in theta waves. And it's almost like that stage between fully awake and asleep,
I know
when you're
exactly.
laying in the like
Yep.
at night and you're like half awake but like getting there.
And
That's
that's
theta.
sometimes when you have the most like creative thoughts or the most like
Yes,
spiritual experiences, is that between state. Yeah, totally know what you
you
mean.
just nailed it. So why are we creative in theta waves? Because we're actually getting rid of the whole world
Right.
outside of us and we go internally. Subconsciously and unconsciously, we're going internally. We're shutting down everything else. So we're nobody in no time, in nowhere, like you're just floating away, letting yourself just be. Theta waves, you can create your reality. So when
Mhm.
you're in theta waves in meditation, you actually intentionally put yourself in theta waves. You can actually create your reality. And that's exactly where you switch from this fucking sucks to thank you. I'm I'm in love with life. I am thankful for all I have now. You
And all that
can,
has happened to me. Yeah. Like, and all
yes,
that experience.
yes,
And like, sometimes I feel like we need to take that. It's almost like transferring that sadness and grief to like appreciation, and also like, this is living life to the fullest. Like, these are the experiences we've had, but this is also the ownership of like, this is my life. This is when I felt the most alive. This is when I felt the time with the most love. And like, going through that and making sure we're like, we still have that in our lives, like whether that's in our hearts as memories, or if that's, but it's still an emotion and something you've experienced, and like being grateful for it even happening. And I think,
exactly. And you
yeah.
just said that still have it in our lives. So still right now. So you're actually focusing on right now. Your brain is everywhere during the day. But in that state of theta waves, whoop, you come right now, right here,
In the moment.
inside you,
Hmm.
inside you. And right now and right here, it's all good. The past, we cannot change, but we can. We can change how we experienced it by going back and heal, right? How do we go back and heal? Being right now. Because right now, it's all good. Right now, nothing is happening. Right now, I'm not losing anything. In the past, yeah, but I'm here. I'm not there. If I'm living in the past, I'm missing the now. Right now, I have a gorgeous little boy who smiles at me every morning. Right now, I have a husband who is supportive, who is loving. Right now, I have the experience of have had a dad that loved me unconditionally right now. So it's all good. It's all good
And I
right
think it's
now.
sometimes like what you just said, like, I feel like I have such a different story in the way that like I had a very tough relationship with my dad, and I have always in my mind had my dad be the villain, kind of like my parents separated. He was
Mhm.
cheating on my mom in college. Like, we just did not have a really good relationship. He was great as when I was younger, but I have always kind of put him as the villain. And I think like with his death, it was like kind of what you said, like having to think about all the times, almost like redoing my experience with my dad. And I've thought more about like his view on life, and his kind of his wonder, his childlike wonder, and his sense of adventure. And like, he loved being outdoors. He had a house in Zion National Park in Utah. We still do. Um, but like, just that's the stuff I'm trying to keep hold of, instead of the anger and resentment and the frustration and the uh I mean, that was a very huge part, I think, of years of my life. And I feel kind of angry at myself that I've wasted that time and energy between my dad and I, when it could have been a whole other thing. And like, I think I beat myself up over it a little bit. And then, but it's like moving forward, what are the pieces I want to keep, and keep those the closest to my heart, and like how that kind of can change my relationship with him still, even though he's not physically present.
Right. Exactly. And that relationship, I mean, whatever tough situations he had to deal with when he was younger and when you were young, it's not part of your journey. It was his journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't live it for him. So when you beat yourself up for why didn't I do this to have a better relationship with him, you couldn't. because he was dealing with his own life journey. You didn't live that life journey, and you don't know how you would have reacted to it with what he grew up with what he was programmed to do.
Right.
With all his experiences, he was the way he was because he grew up in a certain way, because that was his life journey. Period. You couldn't have gone, you couldn't have done it differently. You dealt with it how you best did, period. And beating ourselves up for something we did or didn't do, it's like beating a dead horse, right?
Oh yeah. And I think now it's more of like, how I've shifted my perception of my dad now that he's gone versus if he had still been alive. Like, I
Yeah.
think it would be very different. I feel like I would have a different relationship, like, and still possibly painting him to be that villain and just like, he doesn't understand. And like, men are just programmed differently, and the emotional aspect, he doesn't understand his whole actions and all of, the trickle effects, and how, now I think about my family relationships and, what I would want him. I don't know, how that it can be very intricate, and
Yeah.
just now it's kind of like I'm more at peace with taking the good and honoring that good, and like what he in my mind stood for, and the love, and just like I said, the sense of adventure was totally him, like, and it was all happened right before COVID, and I just feel like he wouldn't have been able to really emotionally handle COVID. I don't think he was a very people person, like wanted to be with everybody, wanted to have like bingo, or what was it, maybe it was bunko like night or poker night or something, and like
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Right.
community he had. And I was like, he would not have been able to handle this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. By getting rid of those negative emotions about your dad and your relationship with him, you're actually honoring him. And by doing, like, how do you do that? You go in that theta state, you elevate your emotions, and you literally, with your breathing, with your breath, take out what your body doesn't need, take out what your spirit doesn't need. So if I'm in that theta wave and I'm feeling, you know, a thankful emotion, a loving emotion, I literally in that minute say, I'm going to breathe out all the regrets,
The
all
anger,
the anger, all the sadness, because I
it
don't
doesn't
need
serve.
that.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve me. I don't need to hold on to that. And it just like poof, exploded out and it expose it. And that's it. And it's not, I mean, it's one meditation is going to make a difference, but it's about practicing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a constant practice, and it's about showing up for yourself
Yeah, connecting with yourself and what.
every day. Just like we're busy moms, just like we have a marked in our calendars that we need to take our kid to the pediatrician, or that we need to, have a meeting about something or whatever. We also need to put in our calendars from 10 to 10:30. I'm going to do a meditation for myself and show up for ourselves, and don't beat ourselves up. We are who we are. We get rid of the strong bad emotions,
Mhm.
and it's a constant practice. And this is me, the loving Emily, the compassionate Emily. And I open up my heart to source, to God, for him to guide me, for my guides on the other side to guide me, for my angels on the other side to guide me, for my dad to guide me, for my baby to guide me, right? Because they are your guides now. They actually become your guides. They're actually present with you at all times. And once I found out that when I elevate my emotions through meditation, or simply like, going out to play in the snow with my kids, that's elevated emotions because nothing else matters
Right.
around me. Just throwing snowballs at each other matters. That is a state of meditation. Your brain goes into theta, happiness, right? Sleeping is delta waves. Theta is that in between where nothing else matters. Going into that state of happiness actually helps me connect with my dad even more.
Mm,
Actually, I can actually feel him around more. I can actually see him in my meditations more, or he shows up in my dreams, or there's little orbs of light here and there,
or signs from the
or
universe. Yeah,
signs.
totally.
God, big time. Like as much as you would think these are coincidences, they are not.
Right.
My mom and I were talking the other day, and we're like, oh yeah, I mean, we don't know what to do with the money he left in the bank and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you know what, I feel like we don't force it, just let it flow. And if we find a pin number to his card, that's fine. If we don't, there's gotta be another way to pull it out. And she's like, what if we go upstairs to his room and just kind of like ask him just to guide us, maybe he'll shed some light. These are her actual words. I'm like, that is a good idea, right? So all of a sudden, I call the bank, and I'm on the phone with the bank, and they tell me, "Oh, do you have a receipt of blah 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 blah?" I'm like, "Okay, hang on one second. Let me go upstairs to get his papers that he has in his room." I go upstairs, open the door, and his little nightstand lamp is on. How? I don't know.
That's crazy.
Nobody turned it on. My mom had literally just said 5 minutes before, let's go to his room. Maybe he'll shed some light. I'm like, huh? I literally told the person in the bank and the phone, can I call you right back? I was about to shit myself, right?
Yeah.
Things like that, just you can't make up. You can't make up. But you have to be in the right state of mind, because grief and sadness and anger and regret and self doubt and victimization, where we victimize ourselves and we feel
Mhm.
sorry for ourselves and we beat ourselves up. That's like the lowest of the lowest emotions that drag you down and don't allow you to connect to the higher realm. If we're stuck in that place so low, our vibration cannot connect with all our guides, all our
Yeah.
loved ones, with God, right? So we actually have to elevate ourselves in order for them to come down a little bit and meet somewhere in the middle.
Hmm.
But if we're not elevating ourselves, there's no signs, there's no light being shed, right? So, girl, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Thanks.
And we should totally have these conversations more often, and we should totally create a group of support of some sort, and let's think about it.
Yeah. And just even like, I think taking the time to set aside to be like, we're going to go through these emotions. And if
Mhm.
that's as a group or if it's just committing to yourself that time, because I think part of the avoidance is we don't want to put that on the calendar. We don't want to think about it.
I don't
And
have time for that.
yeah, and we don't want to deal with it. Like, it's how do you
Yeah.
feel? I don't want to feel worse than I already do. And also, like, how do you go through it? I think that I'm still stuck in that the deepness and like the intensity I'm so scared of versus like just doing it.
Just
And I think
you're not gonna feel worse. You're not. You already feel the lowest right now. If you go through it, you're just gonna release,
release it.
and
And
that energy is gonna start flowing again. You don't want it to get stuck. It stalls, and it stalls everything. So
yeah, we'll work on it. And hopefully, other people can kind of relate and see that this
yeah,
is kind of I don't know. I think like society, just the pressure of the keep going and to avoid, to distract, like focus on your own goals, versus sitting in the shit. And sometimes you just gotta do that.
Yeah,
And
I'm playing with it.
the wallowing of just like, this blows. But knowing that other people are going through that and need to honor that time. And sometimes that's the scariest thing. Like for a while, I was so upset about leaving my job and like making this decision. Am I a terrible person for doing this? And I'm like, I think this is actually the biggest gift I can give myself. But I think I was so scared of not living up to the expectation of like, how do you go through all of it? There is no how-to guide.
Yep.
You know, and I
Yep.
think I haven't been doing a very good job. I mean, there's certain parts I have been doing okay, but you know, like at the same time, I'm like, I need to give myself a little bit of grace of, I don't know what this looks like. We're
Yep.
just going to try. It's better than doing nothing.
Yep. I've read that when we cross over to the other side, we don't get judged. We actually judge ourselves. We actually see everything literally like, oh, so cliche, but see our whole entire life in front of us. But instead of just being the observer, we put ourselves in the position of the other person that we interacted with. So if we actually hurt somebody intentionally or unintentionally, we feel what the other person feels. But the harder part of that life review is when we actually judged ourselves harshly, and you're feeling you judging yourself and what you felt by being judged by yourself. So it's actually like a double whammy. And Source, God, loves you so much because He is love, you're part of Him. So it's all pure, unconditional love. If you judge yourself harshly, you're actually disconnecting from that source. When you accept yourself and all your actions and your reactions and everything you are and everything you feel, when you actually honor yourself and say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay, Emily, to feel this way. I still love you. You know, there's this, it's like a prayer, like a practice that Hawaiian people do. I don't know if you ever heard of the Ohonoponopono. I know it's a funny name. It's actually a practice to of love to others, but also self-love. And it's 4 things that you say. And you say it also in a meditative state or just walking around, you know, like if you see a person and they irritate you, you say those 4 things. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. Those 4 things, we need to say them out loud or in our meditation to ourselves every day, because we are so harsh on ourselves. Our worst judgmental person in our lives is ourselves. So if we actually go deep inside and say, I'm sorry, Emily, please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. And do repetitive, you know, meditations on that. You will actually start feeling lifted up. You are part of God. You are God. God is in here.
Yeah.
So don't get disconnected, girl.
Okay.
Get disconnected.
Work on it. Got a lot to do today.
Feel all the feels, scream all you can, and let me know if you need an ear.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. It's been great to talk
Thank you.
And I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see if we could maybe get a group together.
Yes. Let's
So,
do that.
yeah.
Let's
All right. Hugs.
I love you.
Love you.